Okay, there we are. Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. So it is Saturday morning dates with me, Libby DeLucian, and
Chris
Chris.
DeLucian.
So this is kind of an ongoing tradition now. I think we're on our fourth Saturday morning date, and we're a little late. Typically, we like to go live around 10 a.m. Eastern, but we just got off the boat.
So we're on island time right now.
We're on island time right now, but I'm just going to share in a couple groups, and we're going to get started into today's morning date topic. And it's a really great topic that Chris and I just realized that, are we doing this in life, or are we pushing the skip button, right? Or are we taking every single moment and not taking them for granted? So I'm just sharing this in a couple groups real fast. And then we can dive in. So I think we're good. Yeah. And today we wanted to talk about, and I posted on social media this exact topic, and it's, are you pushing the skip button in life?
And real quickly, that was on our 300th date morning.
Yes.
So,
and that post, you should check it out on my Facebook page. It's gotten 1,600 likes so far. But I posted that we just did our 300th date morning. And we just started this last year in June. And, I noticed that we all tend to skip the small things, skip the small wins, skip being consistent. We try to skip details. But I've noticed that, the last year or so, I've been really focused on intentionality, like doing every single thing with intention, and it has to have a meeting or I'm not going to do it. But, it's tempting to try to push the skip button. I'm reading from my post, hoping to fast forward to success, right? It's tempting to compare ourselves to others. And we ask, why are they reaching their goals and we're not? From my experience, it's all about the little things. The daily consistent efforts are really what paves the way to success. So we wanted to talk about that. Are you pushing the skip button? Are you trying? Are you trying to just be that $1 million maid service company and you don't understand why you can't get there? You could be skipping the small things. You could be skipping the very small details that really require that consistency to build over time. So I thought this was a great topic, and I'm just going to look on my phone again, Chris, if you want to, if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, I actually think it was, I remember going down to Michi's house, Michi, if you're watching, my sister, my oldest of the two sisters. So we were down in her place around Fort Lauderdale, but we had out for the evening for the weekend. Had my other sister Christina come and join us as well, and it was a really great debate, a conversation that we were having with my nephew and my other two sons. But it was around certain things with business, and they wanted to do certain things, either be an influencer or because my nephew is really big into breakdancing, and he's phenomenal at it, and so he's built his little mini network here as he's just graduated. But I think really there was a discussion on, I know that my sisters and I, we were talking about, where should we start? We need help with certain things. And it was, starting a new business, can I need help. I need to do this, and this. But when we were talking, I was like, you know what? I actually think it would be better if we sat down and we talked about like the fundamentals, the basics of, the perfect week, of things that really structure your life first, then focusing on the business part. Because if we skip to the business part, things just still seem like they just fall apart or they run amok. If we don't have that solid foundation of the consistency of the little planning for the little details before they happen, so that you don't get off track yourself.
Yeah. And, I think that as a business owner, and it was kind of a funny situation. We had, his nephew there, our older son was there, and they all want to start their own businesses. So does his two sisters. And, I think so many people think it's easy from the outside, right? It's easy. I mean, we all have this misconception, our friends have about business owners. Oh, we're rich. Oh, we don't ever work. Like we can do whatever we want, like money grows on trees kind of thing. But I think that, what's the miss thing about successful business people is how structured their personal life is, how they're not trying to skip those small wins, skip those meaningful moments, skip that intentionality. They're very intentional. And it's so interesting because I'm in a mastermind group and it's led by Dan Martell. And it's for SaaS companies, it's for software companies. And it's so funny because he teaches us nothing like in that level, because we're in a higher level. He teaches us absolutely nothing from himself. He brings speakers in to really have to do with software anymore. He has shifted so much to personal growth, mental growth, relationship growth, physical growth, eating, making sure you're growing in the right way with your eating habits, because he keeps going back to this. You have to focus on the small things. You cannot operate a high functioning business. You can't be a great person, wife, mother, if you are not taking care of yourself, right? Exercising every day. And these just go back to, I want to ask, everybody who's listening, this goes back to constantly working and grinding and trying to grow, but you feel stuck, like you're tired, you're not going anywhere, you're just churning, treading water, turning customers, turning employees, and you're just working super hard, like at working, and it's not working. I should put that on a phrase. Are you working super hard at working, but it's not working? And that's probably because you're skipping those small things, those small wins. You're skipping taking care of yourself, like exercising, having dates with your spouse or your partner. And it's because we're so focused on trying to grow and win that we're skipping the things that build us as people, that build us emotionally, that build us confidently. How many business owners out there lack confidence? I mean, I still do. But we keep skipping these things that build our confidence. And so when we're confronted with a difficult situation or time, we've chipped away at that confidence because we kept pushing the skip button on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is so big for me. And this comes from my organizing side. The consistency of doing it consistent, doing it every time, doing it not even the right time. It's not always right or perfect. Like our morning dates have been from everything from I'm not here, let's do it on the phone, to oh crap, we're traveling. Let's try to do it outside where it's 20 degrees and we were dying. So it's not perfect, but it's because it's consistent and we keep doing it no matter what. But I want to know, for our listeners, do you feel like you're skipping? Are you pushing that skip button and just trying to get to the win? Are you skipping those little things because you don't feel like you have time? And then you wonder why, why can't I reach my goals? Why am I not $1 million company yet?
So to add to that, I want to kind of give my own perspective and my own feelings on how I felt through that, where I was pressing the skip button. There's a couple moments that hit me even recently, honestly, because I get off track and I have to get back on the track. So, a few different things happen, and I want to circle back, with WootRecruit, when the first time we hit the $1 million mark, we barely even we barely even knew it. We weren't even phased.
It was funny. Our COO, Jim, he was like, you guys hit $1 million. This was a while back. And he's like, and we were just kind of like, okay. And we just kept working. And he goes, guys, for a software to do that in such a short amount of time, you guys should celebrate. He's like, it fathoms me how it doesn't even phase you. And we didn't even celebrate. We didn't even stop to acknowledge what had happened. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So, I still remember that day, because again, it happens over and over again. We have level 10 structure to the business where it's again, synchronous meetings and wows and wins and how's it going and progress, keeping things on track. But it was I saw it in myself is that I, me being as chief technical officer or product and tech, working to help make systems and make things run smoothly, is I was pushing as hard as I could to build things out and layer things. But all I ever heard or felt in my own mind, not that it was true or not, but was the trickle of the negativity or the bleed through of, something needs to be fixed or something needs help. And so I got in my own head and in trying to keep pushing forward and just nonstop, trying to get things done to the point to where it will end, which is a farce because it will never end. And through that, what I felt, and Libby's actually the one that saw it, is that my morale, my energy, my overall sense of being was just really kind of down in the dumps. I was never really excited or motivated. Always just kind of felt like something was just not quite there. And it was because I just kept pushing through and pushing through and pushing through, without taking that step back to celebrate the wins, to focus on the small things. This came back to me also, again, the perfect week is fantastic in how it organizes your day, organizes your life, so that you make sure that the important things, the goal is the important things are always accounted for before those other things. By important things, I mean, yes, of course, projects, specific things in the company, but most importantly is how you block out the other times around business, which is family, dinner.
Because we do not have a work-life balance. Let's just let you, like, I kind of just think that, and I'm certified in time management, certified organizer, whatever you want to. And I don't believe that there is, if you're an entrepreneur, there is a work-life balance. There's a work-life integration, and it's how you choose to manage the energy between the two and how much do you want of one in the other.
So how do you integrate your work with life, or how you integrate work with life?
Yes.
But what I saw with the bleed through is just the minor comments that I hear from Yaya, and just the minor things of how she responds or reacts to business. What's that?
No, you just said how Yaya reacts.
Yeah.
And I have some really great, I'm an EO, and we had each family member fill out a survey. So when he said how Yaya reacts to certain things, I wanted to bring that EO survey out because it kind of hurt. There were things in there that I didn't like. It was a survey about me.
Yeah. But I started to sense and feel the way that Yaya was a little bit, she's very patient, she's very kind, but there's also this, like, daddy. So it was just waiting for that moment for her to have my attention, because that work started to bleed back in to those blocks that I had set for family, for her, for the kids. And so I think, Libby, you told me to just get away and to take a moment, block in your calendar.
Yeah.
And spend time.
It started with his reaction to Monday coming. That's how I seen it. And so when you have someone that works with or for you, and sometimes we're excited about Monday. Like most entrepreneurs are like, yeah, it's Monday. Like we could just start all over. Or like, let's make money. But to see how someone that works like in Woot Recruit was reacting to Monday coming, I was like, oh my God, like something's wrong. I gotta talk about this. And so, I told him, I said, you can, you're a salaried employee. Yes, you need to work, and yes, I will fire him if he doesn't.
She's already done that a couple times before.
Yeah, I fired him from the other company. But you have to create your day and know how you work and like what brings you down. What do you take too personal? And you're skipping all these small moments, like with even to eat lunch. Like how many of us entrepreneurs are out in the field, like don't even eat. And you need to schedule downtime on the calendar to stop working, go away, take a walk, and come back. Even at the organized office, I tell them, schedule 15-minute walks, please, because if you sit at the chair all day, like you're just going to get less done. It's just less efficiency.
Yeah.
And so I seen it in Chris, and I was like, oh crap, I need to do something about this. It's a good sign to look at your employees. Like, how are they reacting to Monday? Are they dreading it? It could be our fault because of the environment we've set up. And it's an easy fix. So
Yeah.
sorry. And we have some people watching and listening. We have Ashley and Jeremy, Dawn Facilla. Hello. You texted me yesterday. I'm back. I got braids while I was gone too. I got cornrows
She was
in
like,
my hair.
she was like, why doesn't your phone number work? I tried to call you.
We were in the Bahamas yesterday, so that's why my phone didn't work.
She thought we were lying.
Julie Groves is here, and then Karen Hamilton. And Jeremy said, he goes, I know for me, I focus so much on the lack or what I need to work on my business. That's when there are wins. It's like it doesn't phase me. I then don't stop and celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to us. And we still even do it to this day. And we have to actually pause to think. It's like, okay, did we actually do something good here?
Well, I will say I enjoy my weekly L10s. I sit in all the company weekly L10s, and it forces me to share my wins and wows. I'm like, what did happen this week? So that's a great thing. But our date mornings have been great for pausing and acknowledging what's happening. Like, hey, that was pretty great what we did yesterday, or what do you like? Hey, like, let's take Yaya to the park tomorrow. So the morning dates give you some of that time. So it's not so much just the morning date in a whole as it is have a block of time for clarity breaks. Have a block of time to reflect, to journal, to write. Chris just said, I used to write music all the time, and I need to get back to that. So have those times blocked. One of my good friends, her name is Sarah, and she said, I envy you, Libby. And I'm like, why? Because I'm a hot mess. And she goes, because I feel like organized people just they can have more free time. They can get more personal things done because they're organized. She goes, I feel like I just work all day and then I have no time for myself. I didn't schedule it. It's kind of messy. She goes, I feel like because you're so structured. She saw my calendar and she goes, you're so structured that like you just make time for yourself because you got it planned. And so, organizing is my passion, whether it's physical or mental or digital organizing. There's all kinds of different. But this really helps you with celebrating certain things, the wins, details, not pushing the skip button. Like we go to brunch every Sunday. And really being able to do those things that you want to do that make you a great boss, owner. I get so much more done and I'm working less than I've ever worked probably.
So I want to pause there for a minute. Because you talk about celebrating small wins and things like that. My first thing that comes to mind is that's so basic. It's just everybody says it. It's basic, but I want to take a step further into that and talk about like how do you actually apply this in a way that's meaningful instead of just it being words on a paper, just saying, "Oh, celebrate the small wins." I think the way that it worked well for us, and I think that's a way that should be done is practicing being intentional about seeking out those small wins or those things in life, those moments. So it's going to be a practice to start to seek them out. So you actually have to pause for a minute and say, okay, intentionally, what has gone right so far in what I've been doing or what my team has been doing? Mm-hmm. Because it will not be apparent. It will not be, it's not going to be there right in front of you to just smile and be happy.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also what we've been starting to practice with our date mornings, just to start to seek out intentionally that those small wins and just those minor positive lifts, because again, we have to stack those small wins on top of each other to create that momentum. Otherwise, we're just not going to feel emotionally there or connected. We crave validation, like as people. And so you need those small validations to keep you moving. Otherwise, you're just going to be a lifeless zombie. I mean, that's just the way I see it. Is that's why, and I don't mean this in any negativity to any of, but you have a lot of high level people who work that 9 to 5 and they've stacked on their lifestyle and kind of wrapped it into that 9 to 5, and they're grinding it out and they're never happy day to day. We do our date mornings around our neighborhood And one house in
Oh,
particular.
we get run over by cars running to work sometimes.
Yeah.
Or going somewhere.
So it's, one house in particular, we notice every time we pass, and brand new house. It was beautiful when it first started.
And it's a doctor, but yeah.
And just the person that's there, they're always there. We walk really early in the morning. So we used to catch them leaving the house.
Yeah.
But now we rarely ever see that as well. We try to do the lap in the afternoon as well. We kind of saw him pulling in at certain times of the day, or just this feeling of, never being at the house, never being present, or being in the here and now, as it's called.
Even the way he drove showed you that he couldn't stop for a minute to even take a moment, because he was driving so fast, or watching him get in and out of his car, rushing in his scrubs to the door, or rushing to the car to fleet out. But you hardly ever see them in this beautiful brand new house that actually in 6 months has went to crap.
Lawn's never been mowed.
The lawn has never, for all my lawn guys watching, they have never mowed the lawn in this brand new, beautiful house. It's just like, they're not taking a moment for even to do the necessary, let alone the kind of the optional, like the extras, like celebrating or planning moments. They're not even doing the necessary, because it's just so hustle. But if he stopped for a moment to just gain some clarity and to plan his day, it wouldn't be so much of this rushing and chaos feeling inside. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see that, but I know it sounds counterintuitive, but a lot of this is taking time. Take time, stop working, take time. You don't have to answer every email every second it comes in. I learned this great trick from Teresa Spearoff, one of my friends. There's a setting on the iPhone that you can put on focus or drive mode, and you can send a already written text. So I just said, I'm currently focusing on deep work. I'm not paying attention to my phone. So then, therefore, you can take intentional time to plan and reflect, focus, take a walk, take your wife out on a date, and celebrate it. Sometimes you have to plan these, though. An example is, we wanted to go on just take a 1 or 2 day vacation, like just get away real fast. And we wanted that win. So we had to make the win happen. We had to schedule it and say, we're going to do this. So sometimes you're going to have to make the wins happen. You're going to have to, because what it does is, if we're constantly beating ourselves up, I posted in Facebook yesterday, I constantly see people so ashamed that they have to go back into the field or go back and do something that they've already outgrown.
Yeah.
They're just ashamed. They think it's like this sign of failure that they're going backwards. And I posted in Facebook yesterday, I said, it isn't shameful nor a sign of failure if you have to go back and take over something that you've handed off. It's not. It's part of growth. It's part of business. It's part of learning. And, it's so incredible to see that, it's hard for you, I just kind of lost my train of thought, but it's incredible to see how many people see that as a negative thing. But if we just have to take a moment, like the guy running around in his car, the doctor, that poor house, I feel sorry for the house, not him so much. So, if we just take that moment to plan, to observe, to reflect, to embrace what's coming. But we have to set those wins up, because here's where I was going with this. We have to set those wins up, because with business, the day-to-day is going to chip away at our courage, our confidence, right? The day-to-day is going to chip away at that. The things we overcommit to everything, and we don't meet all those commitments, it chips away at our confidence and our courage. So we have to set these kind of setups because we need to build on this confidence. We need to schedule these date mornings. We need to schedule lunch breaks and take my daughter to the park, because we need to keep building the confidence that we need as an entrepreneur up. And these wins, when we get to do this, builds that confidence, because if we're constantly in the day-to-day, constantly doing that, we're chipping away at that courage and confidence we need to handle a difficult situation in a difficult moment.
Yes, and for the life of me, I wanna say this real quick for the business owners out there is if and I'm gonna say this, if you say that your business, you're doing it for your family and doing it for your kids, then for the life of God, please schedule time with them now, because otherwise you're gonna grind away and you're gonna be frustrated and you're gonna start to feed that into them.
Yeah.
And you're gonna end up creating this cycle of misery, not in just your life, but in their life too, because you're like, it's for you. It's for you.
Is it really for them?
Like,
I'm asking a general question for you to think further. Is it really for them? Do they care? Yeah, I know we're trying to set our kids up to be comfortable. I ain't giving my kids any money. So if any of my kids are watching, you're not getting any of it. Yeah, you have to work for it. Otherwise you don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about kids. So like I said, I have an EO survey I did. It's not EO specific, but they asked some really fun questions, and we had our kids fill these out, put them in an envelope, and your spouse fills them out and your kids fill them out, put them in an envelope, and then your EO forum reads them to you. But there's a trend here with Libby's. I'd like to read them for you. There's different questions, but the one question is, what is something you wish your mom would stop doing? Yaya said, working so much. My 26-year-old said to that same question, stop biting off so much. And then Austin, my 16-year-old, said to that question, stop talking so loud in public. And then
that one was valid.
That one was valid. And then Chris said, shouldering responsibilities by herself and not asking for help. So, and I would say, I've been working on this. These surveys were done a little while ago, but, it was hard to hear that, I need to focus more. I need to be more intentional on the small wins. I'm not pushing the skip button and just saying, I'm going to work really hard and grind it out so I can get to $1 million. I'm going to skip all the meaningful moments in my life and hope that one day it will pan out for my kids, or hope one day I can leave them something, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, in a month, in a week. You could be working all this hard, and God forbid something happen, and all that work didn't pay off because you didn't have the opportunity to see it through.
I have seen just that with my father, in kind of the way that, towards the end of his life, what ended up happening, and just seeing, he taught me an incredible amount about positioning myself in the right way in life so that I never have any struggles. A lot of that being with things like finance, credit, how to look around, getting a house, just strategy and planning around having a good life. So he gave that to me, but he didn't follow his own advice towards the end, and he built a lot of stuff up. But again, those little things kept chipping away because he woke up at 4 to 4:30 in the morning every morning when we were younger in school, and he didn't get back until about 7 o'clock. And so that was the majority of my life, was seeing that through my life, was that he wasn't there for a majority of, to be able to say goodbye at school, or to kind of be there before, the day started to settle down. I remember it was really eye-opening for me to see that, and know what that looks like on the other end from the child's perspective. And so I don't want to, I want to make sure, and I told him as well, like in the notes that I had left him in kind of the final few months of his life, is I wrote a series of notes, very intentionally, on some sticky notes, because the sticky notes had a little message on it. But everything was about just appreciating him. And again, this is, I guess, goes back to the small things as well, is that it doesn't have to always be positive. But I did appreciate, I told him, thank you I appreciate everything in his life. Even if those things didn't seem like a positive or a good experience to him, I wanted him to know that I really appreciated the experience and just being there through those failures to help me understand what not to do or to kind of grow through it without having to make those same mistakes. And so I did tell him, just in that reassurance, is that I don't want him to worry about feeling like he didn't live up to a certain standard. Just to know that, there were some great things that came through those hard moments. And so I want you to take the same approach, in that, take those hard moments and appreciate them as well, to understand, like, shoot, I messed up here, but now I'm really sitting down and looking at it, understand how that looks like in your children's eyes as well, and talk about it.
So we have a few people watching. We have Jane and Heather and Teresa joined us. Good morning, Teresa. And we're covering, are you pushing the skip button in life? Like, are you pushing the skip button, trying to skip the small wins, like the small moments, creating those moments and just trying to get to the goal, to the end? So many people are like, why can't I be a $3 million company? So-and-so is doing it. But are you just trying to skip the important things, the things that build that confidence, to build us the confidence and courage that we need to keep pushing through difficult moments? Because, with Teresa, I was saying that the small wins, the intentional moments, help build courage and confidence that we need to address the difficult times in our business.
And I will say that, having carved out that time with Yaya, during the day, intentionally stepping away and, again, putting it on away, snoozing, Slack, whatever else, don't touch anything work. Just being, there's a quote, again, I always reference it, but dance to the here and now. That's something that I repeat to myself as often as I can. But the concept of dancing to the here and now is everything about, again, it's cheesy, but living in the moment to the point to where you experience it to its fullest.
And not rush through it.
Right. With intention. So you're experiencing life with intention, in every single moment. You can still grind and push, but be present with yourself. And I think having stepped away for the day with Yaya really helped me reset and recharge with just everything.
Yeah. So Jane said, good morning. Great talk. So necessary. Heather said, good morning. Do you both read minds? LOL. Steady growth works for me now. Being present in the daily life is first. Yes. And no, we don't read minds, Heather. I think that we are just like you. And so we're going through the same feelings, the same thing that everybody's going through at different levels, right? At different seasons, levels, experience, but it's still the same thing. Business is like an evolution that just keeps going, like around and around and around. Like, if it's not a staffing problem, it's like a marketing problem or a leadership problem. Like, it just keeps going around to different degrees of levels. And so I think that it's because we're just like you. I'm just like you. I'm a cleaning business owner. And, it, like with my post saying, I went to a customer's house. I hadn't been to a customer's house in 2 years. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this moment and I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to learn and figure out, like, why did I do this? I actually went. So the reason I had to go to a customer's house is my cleaning technicians were accused of smoking pot in the house, and they were so upset. Well, one was pregnant. And, the other technician had been with us years, like 3 years, no issues. And the reason I had to go and deal with this is because the customer was really upset, but I had not made any process for this. My poor office had no idea how to handle this. Like, the technicians are irate, the customer, and I'm like, I should probably go. I could have said, no, you guys deal with it. I trust you. I'm like, no, like, I need to deal with this. So I slapped on an Organize It shirt and I went to a customer's house. And it was great that I went there, because we found out what happened. It wasn't us, it's the cleaner gets blamed for everything. It was, we won't say who it was, but it was somebody else. And one of the things that it was great is it was great to one, take that moment to, like, learn, take that moment. And it was actually a win, because it built confidence with my team. They loved the fact that I went out there to help deal with it. And it was a win. And I took that moment and I learned to like, hey, like maybe we need better processes around this. How can we do this next time? If I wasn't here, who would have handled it? I was in town, and it was a learning moment, but I appreciated it. I did it with intentionality. And at the end, it was a win because we got to the bottom of what had happened. And, even celebrating those gave my office more courage, my technicians more courage. And that's just a small example of something in the business, being intentional and doing it and celebrating the win. But, on a personal level, we need that, guys. We need to stop and celebrate and take advantage of moments. We need to create moments. Who here needs to create more moments, more intentional moments in their life? Because that's what builds our courage as entrepreneurs to keep forging ahead.
Yeah. And again, I want to repeat this for those that just joined us, that, it's simple and it's easy to say, just to live in the small moments and just very simple verbiage. But again, the message being to just make sure that you're intentional and pausing even for a split second to just, sometimes I do this a lot now, because I've learned that I used to be an extremely negative person, is that I do a lot of breathing exercises, and Yaya actually does them a lot too now. And I caught her the other day. I was working, and I said, Yaya, I have to close the door to go do a live real quick or do a recording. And so I have my little closet, my office. So I closed the door. She's like, okay. So she's out there just relaxing after school. And then not even 2 minutes later, I hear this little tap, tap, tap on her. And then she opens the door. And she asked me the question. She's like, would you like some water or soda? And this like very soft voice. And I'm like, I was going to say no, thank you. But I turned around and I'm like, yeah, I'll take some water, please. And then I let her do her thing. I let her, go over there. She grabbed some ice from the thing, got a plastic cup, and then she came back in because the water machine is right next to my computer. And so she went and filled it up, and then she put it on there. And then she left. She closed the door. She was being respectful. She closed the door. She left. And about 5 minutes later, here she comes again. Tap, tap, tap. And she opens the door because she knows that I'm supposed to be on a live or recording something or with somebody. And here she comes with a little foam plate with a little pastry on it. And then she's like, here you go, in a very soft voice. And she just sets it down right next to me. And I looked at her, and inside I was just gooey. I was happy, but I said thank you, and then she left. I ate it. Not that I really wanted it, but I ate it because she gave it to me. I made the decision, and again, I say this because I made the decision to accept,
to allow it to happen.
to allow that small moment to happen. And I learned this a lot in my previous career as well, is that I was pushing away the small moments because I felt like I had to be professional. I had to be always on. And so I turned down a lot of opportunities. I ended up failing a lot in that previous line of work with audio. But I learned that I need to start saying yes more. I need to start to take in those small wins, because that honestly, it helps me out. But more so, it helps the other people because they want it to happen. They want those small wins for themselves because it's a little, feel good moment for them. You get something in return, but it helps to give back just by you accepting that small wins, that small opportunity. So with Yaya, I make sure that whenever she approaches me, whenever she asks for something, is that I make 100% sure I do not dismiss or disregard. I always set something up. I set the stage to do something about it. Even if I can't in that moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm busy, but tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to set an alarm for 5:30 on my phone. That's in 20 minutes. Once that alarm goes off, I'm going to stop working and we're going to go ahead and play. And she's like, okay. So
for you guys that have kids out there, that is a great, I've watched Chris do this with Yaya, because with the older kids, I would just dismiss them, tell them to get away from me. I was young, especially with Billy's 26. I would be like, no, not now. I'm working. And later never came. Right. And I've learned my lesson as I got older, but I've watched him do this with her. Like, hey, I'm going to set an alarm in 10 minutes. I'll stop and then we'll play. And it has taught her patience, well, how to set alarms. Like she'll say, like, Echo, set an alarm for 10 minutes. But what do I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I think that was it. But really what it came down to was giving her an anchor. I don't like the word hope, and I apologize if I'm not really a fan of the word hope, because hope is attached to something that they have no control over. And I think that's really the magic of fearlessness with what you have created. But it's being able to forge ahead, like you said, without having an external anchor. It's that anchor is internal.
Yes.
Where you're the driving force. And
so what Chris is describing, you can do with even your staff, your team members, your employees, to give more intentionality, to have more wins with them. Invite those moments, schedule them. If you're too busy to take their call or go to the office, say, hey, I can't right now, but like, let's put something on the calendar for tomorrow. Like, I can't do it right now, but let's do it at 3:00, because that also helps them celebrate a win or have an intentional moment with you.
And I think that builds that confidence. And what I was getting at was that it helps to create those anchors early in life so that they have something that drives them that's not dependent on another person.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But it's like I said, with business owners, it's what we need to establish and grow that confidence. As business grows and gets harder, we need more and more courage and confidence in ourself and our ability, and creating intentional moments, doing things with intentionality, and then celebrating them when we're done, observing like, oh, like, look where I've come. Oh my gosh, like, congratulations, we did this. Yay. Like, celebrating. That's what creates us stronger and stronger at each phase. It helps us become stronger and stronger at each phase of business or life or kids. It's with anything. And if we seem to have some negative employees, or our culture seems down, this could be why, right? You're not observing those small wins. You're not celebrating. You're not creating intentional moments. We just took the whole Organize It team out bowling, and I bowled. I don't like to bowl. I have arthritis in both of my hands, like literally a deformed finger over here. And I bowled because I wanted to create that intentional moment with the staff, because I could have just sat back and said, no, I'm okay. I created that intentional moment with them, and they had a great time bowling with everybody. And it's just, if morale seems down, whether it's with your family or your spouse or your team or yourself, take some time and let's create some intentional moments in your calendar to help build up that morale, that confidence, so that you can just keep pushing forward, because it can be absolutely exhausting. Right. I just saw some people were commenting, like Heather said, Teresa said she gets so overwhelmed when she looks at the big picture. The hard moments show who I am, she said. And that's so true. They do show who we are. And if we have a hard time with those hard moments, think about being more intentional with your time to try to build up that courage, that confidence through small wins, making your bed, right? How many times have we read, there's even a whole book on making your bed. So there's ways to build that up. So many people ask me, like, how did we get through the hurricane? Like, that was probably, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. And, how did I get through the hurricane? It was absolutely horrible. I can't cuss on here because they'll flag my video.
We learned that.
It was absolutely horrible. I mean, I cried. I had cleaning technicians that were hungry, that couldn't get to food. Like, no power.
They sent videos during
videos of their houses, like no power. Like, we had no internet for Organize It for like, I think 2 months. We were running on hotspots and it was just horrible. And those hard moments, I think all the crap that I had to deal with, and then also taking the time for intentionality, like exercising and eating right and doing all those things and observing the small wins, is what built me up to be able to deal with that. And so, like, the next time something else comes along, I'm like, let's well, not if it's a hurricane, because I think I have PTSD. They start talking about hurricane season and I want to cry. Because I'm like, I can't do it again. But it's built it up so that I can take on the next thing. Because as our business grows, our problems get bigger. And we need that courage and that confidence to take them head on. So we have been on for
45 minutes.
45 minutes. So it is a holiday weekend. So we'll wrap up, guys. This was great. Ask your questions, comments. I'm going to try to remember to drop. I have a training on the perfect week. Well, I had training on the perfect week and Facebook took it down because they said I showed nudity. I didn't show any nudity that I remember, but it's because they have like AI stuff that flags things and it's not real. But I'm going to try to find some perfect week training for you guys so that you can start to plan your perfect week. What does it look like? Why is it important? Over my Cervix Success Facebook group, I share like frameworks and systems and processes. But, take this time. The world is going to be a little bit slower today and Sunday and Monday because of the holiday. Take that slowness and take some time to think, to like reminisce, to look backwards, right? To look forward.
Please don't just grind it out with work. I mean, yes, I think there's some great things.
There's some great things because I'm not gonna lie, I got a couple projects I'm working on.
Yep, but those are projects, and again, those are going to be intentional wins.
Intentional time. So even when I work on the weekend, we set the time I'm going to work. If we work together or separate, we set the time of when we start and when we stop. So take this weekend. It's a slow weekend. Reminisce. Think about it. What do you want? You need some wins. Let's set them up, right? So to build that confidence, let's create those wins, those intentional moments. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Don't eat too much. And anything else, Chris?
Nope. Just going to have a great time. Again, spending even more time with the kids, about to jump in the pool.
Yes.
Get some sun.
More sun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.